Well, today we're going to look at TD16, newly formed as expected from the Central American gear, which is a large envelope of low pressure that extended from the Pacific over to the Caribbean. And sometimes at this time of the year, you do get tropical cyclone formation. But thanks for clicking on to the Friday edition of Vogan's US Tropical Outlook. We are looking at 16. We are talking about a system that is just east of the Nicaragua coast. It looks as if it's going to cross over Nicaragua and Honduras and then push in back into the Western Caribbean Sea and strengthen into a tropical storm. So this is the current position. The forecast models are pretty consistent, pretty much all in favor of a track up towards the northeastern tip of the Yucatan and then into the Gulf of Mexico, and then taking aim somewhere between, just west of Lake Pontchartrain and Mobile, Alabama here. So we are going to be talking about a system that is very likely coming into the Gulf Coast sometime later in the weekend. And quite possibly as a hurricane. And the reason why we think that is that it is going to have a low shear environment. We're also talking about the very high ocean heat content, which is not just the surface temperatures, but is based on how deep that warm water is. So you're talking about, mid to upper 80-degree waters extending a couple of 100 feet below the surface, and that is really what the true fuel behind these systems intensifying. And I do think at this time of the year, we really do look to the Western Caribbean for the highest ocean heat content. This thing is going to travel right across this very untapped water, by the way. The majority of the tropical cyclone traffic this year has stayed to the north of Hispaniola and Cuba, so it is not allowed the upwelling of the water here. So this is a very untapped water, plenty of ocean fuel here to feed TD16, becoming Tropical Storm Nate, likely to become Hurricane Nate, I think, over the central Gulf of Mexico as we go into the weekend here overall. So you can see that there as we go forward here. In terms of intensity wise, it does look as if the majority of the models indicate that this thing stays as a tropical storm. However, there is one outlier that points towards a borderline Cat 2-3. I find it still difficult to kind of trust the intensity forecast models because it just is a part of the tropical meteorology science that is just not grasping the strength of tropical cyclones. And I do think it's going to become a hurricane. And despite that, the majority of the models really only keep it as a strong storm, maybe a borderline Cat 1 hurricane. And that, I don't see that taking place unless we start to have some shear that takes place that we don't realize over the Gulf of Mexico. National Hurricane Center forecast looks like this here. Takes the system back out over the Western Gulf after crossing Nicaragua and Honduras, making a landfall probably somewhere just to the north of Cancun. So wet and windy conditions here, not the best for beach weather, that's for sure. But eventually that system will clear out, and then once it gets into the open Gulf, it is expected by the National Hurricane Center to develop into a Category 1 hurricane here and taking aim. The center of the cone, of course, you do not pay too much attention. Of course, the entire cone, the system's eye could be within, and of course, you've got weather, bad weather, that extends well out beyond the center of the system itself. But certainly at the moment, it looks as if it's taken quite the aim at New Orleans here, but we have a long way to go yet before we can start to kind of bolt down the details. But it does look as if Sunday at some point we could be talking about a landfalling hurricane once again on the US coast here. That's it for today. Short and sweet. Hope you have a good Friday, or should I say a good Thursday. I said it's the Friday edition, it's actually the Thursday edition. I'll get it right. But hope you have a good day anyway, and do check out the written post on the markvoganweather.com for more information on Nate to be.